this computer. Wonderful. I'm so excited to connect with my brother, my fam.
What up?
Just all of it. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Cheerleader. I keep telling y'all I'm going to do these things. It's been delayed. I have a fun story. I usually tell these stories when I'm in a podcast. I lacerated my finger trying to chop vegetables. So all that smack I talked about Kendall Jenner in the kitchen on that episode of the Kardashians just really came right back at me, and I had the surgeon laughing. So
Was the meal good though?
It was a salad for my dad for Father's Day to go along with other things like chicken and steak. Like I didn't just make salad for my father for Father's Day.
Nice.
And Juneteenth. So, but I am so excited to introduce to y'all Kurtis Cameron, the man, the myth, the legend, one of my favorite people. Kurtis, tell us a little bit about yourself, your favorite football team. Welcome to Not Your Average Cheerleader.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me, and I'm glad we finally made time to do this. We've been talking about it from the beginning for a while.
I feel like for years.
Yes, we have. So glad that we finally made it happen. I'm Kurtis Cameron. Ashley and I go back about 9 years. Friend. Yeah, it's actually 10 years.
We're to a decade.
Yeah. That we've been kicking it. We knew each other from work, and we've just been friends, and I appreciate her as a friend and then as a fellow podcaster as well. I have a podcast called The Fatherhood Perspective. I'm a dad of 2 boys and one beautiful wife, and I live in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm just here to have a good time today and talk a little sports. And I hope you all enjoy Ashley and I's conversation today.
This guy, I tell y'all, wow, we made it 10 years, Kurtis. This guy's like a mentor to me. I'm telling you right now, he's level-headed, y'all. I've been ready to go.
Listen, we've had some good conversations that have kept us both grounded at different times. So it's been great to have, when your work friends become real friends.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's great. And everybody doesn't always have the opportunity. And I'm grateful that we had that opportunity.
I will say this to all the fans and the listeners out there. This guy is responsible partially for me starting this podcast because he gave me my first microphone. I'm still using it to this day. So shout out to Kurtis. I'll never forget, he handed me my first microphone. He told me what program to use, and here we are 3 seasons later.
And now you're going super strong.
Yeah, 382 cities in multiple countries, all because of you all. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. You asked me my favorite team, and I forgot to share that. I'm from New York originally, so I'm going to go with the Giants, and I'm going to stick with them no matter what. I am an Eli Manning fan for sure. I love what they're doing now with Jones, but I'm a Giants fan. Now, I do appreciate several other teams and several other stars and athletes, but I'm gonna stick with the Giants. We're gonna see.
Oh, okay. I mean, I did stick with the 49ers through that really difficult time. Wow, tumultuous. In our lives as a 49ers fan. And then they shocked me and made it to the playoffs last year. I was like, yo, we're not going to get there. And I said it on my podcast multiple times, how like, I don't bet against my own team. That's not what we do here.
Right.
And they got there, and I was shocked when we took out Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. We should have went all the way, but that's for another episode.
For another story, yeah.
Yeah, another story for another day. But let's go ahead and dive into it. We got some amazing, serious topics to kind of get to. And as you already know, I'll close out with some interesting things that hit the news, because while I don't always take the 100% stance, if you want to know my thoughts on a lot of things, you can go to my personal IG page. But I know as the podcast host for Not Your Average Cheerleader and the owner, I know we stand with the women of America and exactly what's happening. The Supreme Court decisions, I would be ignorant if I didn't mention it as a woman myself. And we stand with the women about, their rights and what's right for the people of America. So I just want to note that if you go to the page and go visit www.notyouraverage.com, that's going to pop up somewhere on this screen, as it always does. You'll see and hear more if you want to learn more and maybe get connected with some organizations you can support if that is your thing. Okay.
Let's go. It's an awesome week. I mean, not awesome, but just a eye-opening week.
Yeah.
in so many different ways, right? And I encourage everybody to get informed about, wherever you stand, just make informed decisions. And respect where people are.
I love that.
I love that you are taking a public stand and doesn't, don't mind speaking about it, because not everybody does. So, I'm with you.
I love that. Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. So in talking about that, that's not the weirdest transition, y'all. I didn't plan any of this. Let's talk about let's talk a little bit about Deshaun Watson, because listen,
my guy,
this situation with him has been an ever evolving case. I mean, at one point it was like silence. You didn't see anything in the news. And then to kind of give everybody the backstory from what I know, as you know, I do the research, y'all, so you don't have to. So to get started, we all know Deshaun Watson started as the QB for the Houston Texans. I think he's been playing with them since either 2016, 2017, I believe is the actual year. He's had some amazing stats his completion rating was usually around the highest, about 70%, had some yardage between 3,800 to 4,200. And even had a max of almost like 33 touchdowns. I think one of his best seasons was the 2020 season. Then he sat out.
Yeah.
Because of obvious reasons. When you have 24 cases pending against you in regards to alleged misconduct with women. That's probably the most professional way I can say it. Then it's time to sit you out. And he had a really good contract. And he hired a lawyer team. In criminal court, he was found not guilty. However, in civil court, he still has 24 cases pending. Now, 20 of them have settled. They settled out of court. That is not alleged. That's a fact. You can go research it yourself, go Google it. But 4 are still pending. But then you give it up to the New York Times, y'all. You gotta love the New York Times. They're the ones who are always seeming to break all the good stories, do all.
They have some good reporters there. They
listen. Shout out to New York Times, because you did what the NFL did not do. And you found, because that was I keep it 100 with everybody.
That's a big hinge of this whole thing. And I don't want to jump the gun, but that is a big hinge. Everybody else has news and makes decisions based on that news, but the NFL, either y'all don't have it or you do, and you're not doing nothing. But I don't want to jump the gun. Finish what you're saying, and then let's get into it.
So, they went out, they did the research, the article is out there. As a matter of fact, I'm looking down, like, if you see me look down the right, I'm glancing at my notes because I want to get the title just right. Too, right here. Yeah, like they actually dove in and they called this "How the Texans and a Spa Enabled Deshaun Watson's Behaviors." That was the title of the article. You can go research it, go look it up, go read it for yourself. But they basically said he had 66 massages. 66 women.
6 women,
massage him over 17 months.
Which is ridiculous, right? Like, I'm gonna use a strong word. It's predatory. Because I don't know anyone who, let me say that this. A service like a massage is something you want skill, and if it's good, you stick with it, right? The only reason you would need multiple people is if your travel schedule is that crazy, which he's an athlete, so
we don't know,
or you just can't find nobody good enough, nobody strong enough, to do the job well. But 66 in 17 months, I don't even know the math. I can't even do math that quick, right?
I can't either, but it's a lot.
Is that like 5 a month? I don't know. Right.
I look at it so after watching, a number of analysts, former NFL players kind of talk on this subject matter, they talked about themselves, Shannon Sharp, who, I call him Uncle Sharp just because I love Undisputed. Shout out to them. I love the way they articulate certain things. And he as an athlete talked about it's not uncommon for an athlete to have a masseuse that comes to.
Right.
A masseuse, that's singular. Masseuse.
And if you need up to 4 is reasonable based on scheduling, right? Like they have other clients, you have a work schedule, your needs may be different. One might specialize in knots in tapping, and the other, might specialize in hot stone, right? So I could understand a variety because of skill set and to some degree even preference, but 66 and 17 months feels like you're searching for something slightly predatory, in my opinion, right? I just did the math.
Yeah.
That's 3.8 a month. At 4, let's go to 4. So that means there's 1 a week. You get 1 new masseuse a week.
And keep in mind, that's on top of the 24 that, right. That number's on top of, they're bringing those two together. So that's not all together. That's 66 plus.
That's a lot. And let's say this, you are an NFL athlete who I am sure has a roster of variety of sports and physical therapists, of which I'm sure a masseuse is on retainer by the organization, which I guess seems, at least according to some articles, seems to almost have been complicit in some of his behavior, in a way that they made reservations or allowances for him.
Yep, they did.
They're like, hey, we hire these people, but we're going to give you allowances and make space and make preparation for you to do this outside. Now, he's the face of your franchise. You're going to do some special things for him. I get it. But at some point, somebody, Deshaun, you need another masseuse? What happened? We just booked you, old girl last week. You need somebody else? And then you starting to get rumors like, hey, Deshaun, they said, what's up? Now somebody should start investigating. And it's weird. It's weird.
It really is. And I think, allegedly the team provided non-disclosure agreements. Everybody knows what they are. If you ever watch anything in Hollywood or anything in sports, professional sports, you know what an NDA is.
Right. Right.
And that's allegedly what was provided to him by the team. Again, that's alleged. There's no definitive proof. No one's come forward. The team hasn't really said anything either from the reports that I've read. But it, like you said, it just looks suspect. I'm just saying that's a lot. And here, y'all know, here at Not Your Average Cheerleader, I talked about my times on a very, very low high school level. And as a track runner and a gymnast who got flown in the air, landed on mats, like our trainer would sometimes have to massage our shins, our arms, wherever we were having issues at. So what he's talking about, and that was a very minimal low level. So imagine a player who's getting hit full packed by someone 20 pounds or more, it's not uncommon. However, in this case, like you said, looks very, very questionable suspect behavior. And he's maintained his innocence up till now. I want to settle. Now, moving forward, keep in mind, these civil lawsuits kind of happened during the transition. The Browns secretly, allegedly flew their jet down there to court Deshaun Watson, all the while still having Baker Mayfield. You love how I paint a picture for you guys. You're like, Ashley is an author because she's telling us a story. And so they flew down there, courted him, and said, hey, we're going to offer you $230 million guaranteed.
A supermax contract,
supermax contract. He says yes, knowing good and well we have all these cases pending against me, but apparently him and his legal team were probably confident. Signed with the Browns. He's now officially their quarterback. He's been showing up to practices, camp. From what I've seen, as far as analysts and reporters, they're saying that he's really trying to focus on a team environment. He's been open answering the team members' questions. He's really trying to be a leader in the locker room. That's what I've heard as well. You can go kind of Google News reports. They're reporting on kind of how the training camps and stuff are they're kind of like optional. Practices. They're not training camp yet.
Right.
But that's what they've been working on, building a team environment all the while settling out 20 of the 24 civil suits that are kind of waiting on him. So that's an interesting transition, don't you think, from I didn't do anything wrong to let me settle?
No, very, very interesting. I think now in terms of what generally happens in high profile legal cases, settling is not uncommon, right? To some degree, because, it's almost like how this can get dragged out, the embarrassment it could cause, what may come to the surface, it's a matter of, it's just going to be easier to pay this out.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to, rustle feathers and say anything about, were some of these people just looking for money? Because I think that would be rude. So I won't say that, but there may be some people who's like, I also don't want to go through the embarrassment of a court case, so
right.
I'm willing to settle.
And right? Also too, you have some people who, in this case, the women who may want to try their best to move on with their lives.
They want to, exactly. They want to move on. So settling may be on the best interest of both sides. Yeah. Right. And I'm not even trying to say, I think, people, some of them maybe have false or anything. I'm not victim blaming, none of that. Mm-mm. It may have been in both parties' best interest to settle. So settling is common. It is very weird, to your point, that we flipped in the matter of a week to I did nothing, I'm holding fast, we're gonna go through this, to now let's go ahead and settle. What it's given me is someone found other evidence, right? Something else is about to come to light. Let's go ahead and knock this out. Or or we're understanding what effect this may have on my ability to play. Because at the end of the day, he's an athlete. He wants to get to the game he loves and tries to quiet some of that noise so he can do, what he gets paid to do, which is play football. So some of it, is ultimately him just saying, let's get done with this so we can move to where we need to be. But it's all a very weird transition on top of everything else that's happened, right? The legal team he hired, I guess from research or looking up, it's an 80-year-old lawyer, which is like, he should retire, but he's hiring him for his connections, right, and his ability to see through these high-profile cases like that. So he certainly is trying to do his best to clear his name the right way, whether there were some allegations that will stick and some that won't, but he's trying to clear it. So a wild change of events in a matter of a week. Now you mentioned something.
I did.
No, go ahead. You mentioned the Browns acquiring him.
Yeah.
In the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Isn't that insane? That's okay. So that's what got me the most. So I was following this case from the very beginning because I was flabbergasted. Gotta love that word. By just the alleged alluded behavior, like you said. So and allegedly there was an original settlement offered, and he said no. Allegedly, I read that in an article. Like I said, I don't know, and no, Facebook is not my source. Y'all know better than that. But I read an article, and now we're back again revisiting this. I think my biggest thing with this whole situation is this is a football podcast, so I also like to look at the stats, right? Because look how they did Baker Mayfield in the process. And y'all know I don't like him. Y'all know I don't like him. But I'm not gonna stand back and just let somebody be done wrong when they had a full-time job and behind my back and got somebody who got all this noise, not even noise, all this traction and media on him right now. Right now, the telescope is on him. He can't so much as walk into a practice without somebody catching him on the camera, wondering what he's doing. Like even the press conferences he's been doing, it didn't sound like he was prepared. I looked at that. I watched the HBO special where they interviewed the women who came forward and wanted to share their stories. And listen, one or two people, all right, I'll sit back. Let me look at some stuff. But when you've got 24 to 66 women all saying the same thing, my guy, they don't know each other. It's hard for anybody to be like,
we can't sweep that under the rug.
You can't.
That is too real.
Yeah.
Too many to sweep it under the rug. I'm not saying.
Yeah, right.
Because none of us were there, but him and those women, right? I'm not saying that something definitely happened, but it's enough to cause pause for a real investigation. And I think we may never know, but I would love to know, what did the Texans know at one time
Mhm.
What did the Browns know going into that situation?